Imagine you wake up tomorrow and the internet is gone. Not slow, not down for an hour. Gone, everywhere, for 30 days. No calls that route through it. No maps, no banking apps, no delivery, no scrolling. Your first thought might be relief. Finally, some peace and quiet. But the real answer is far stranger and far more dangerous than a peaceful month offline. Within the first few hours, you'd notice something small. Your phone still works, technically. It just can't talk to anything else. No messages arrive. No notifications appear. For a species that checks its phone over 100 times a day, that silence would feel less like relief and more like static. Not calm, absence. By day one, the problems stop being personal and start being structural. Traffic lights in many cities are managed through internet-connected systems now. Payment terminals, the ones you tap your card against, rely on a live connection to approve transactions. Without it, entire stores simply stop being able to sell anything at all. Cash suddenly becomes the only thing that works, and most people don't carry much of it anymore. Why would they? The internet was supposed to make cash obsolete. Has this actually happened before? Almost. In January 2011, during the uprising in Egypt, the government ordered internet service providers to cut access almost entirely for 5 days, not 30, 5. The OECD later estimated the shutdown cost Egypt's economy roughly $90 million in less than a week, from a country where a much smaller share of daily life depended on the internet than yours does today. Multiply that disruption by the scale of a modern economy, then stretch it across 30 days instead of 5, and the numbers stop being numbers. They become empty shelves, missed paychecks, hospitals unable to access patient records stored only in the cloud. That's the infrastructure problem. But something quieter happens too, inside you. MIT sociologist Sherry Turkle has spent decades studying what constant connection does to how people relate to each other. Her research found something that sounds almost backwards. People said they wanted more connection online, yet the more connected they became, the lonelier many of them reported feeling. Turkle's work suggests the internet didn't just add a new way to connect. It quietly replaced older ways, phone calls, visits, waiting for someone in person, with something faster but thinner. Take away the fast, thin version for 30 days, and what's left underneath? For the first week, probably anxiety, genuine physical restlessness, the kind you'd usually treat by opening an app you no longer have. Psychologist Jean Twenge, who has spent years studying how constant device use affects mood and behavior, particularly in teenagers, found a consistent pattern. Heavy device use correlated with higher rates of reported anxiety and disrupted sleep. Now flip that. What happens when the device is still in your hand but has nothing left to give you? You'd probably sleep worse before you slept better. Your thumb would still move toward your pocket 100 times a day, out of pure muscle memory, reaching for something that simply wasn't there anymore. Neuroscientists call this a extinction burst, when a habit that no longer gets rewarded actually intensifies for a while before it fades. You wouldn't feel free immediately. You'd feel like someone quit a drug they didn't know they were taking, but something else would start happening too, slower and much harder to predict. Around day 10, without notifications constantly resetting your attention, some people report that time itself starts to feel different, longer, not in a bad way. A conversation with someone in the same room, with no phone glowing between you, tends to last longer than either person expects. Boredom, the specific kind that used to get filled instantly by a screen, starts pushing people toward things they'd forgotten they liked. Reading a physical book start to finish, cooking something slow, noticing weather. This isn't nostalgia talking. It's simply what happens when a highly demanding stimulus disappears and your attention has nowhere else urgent to go. By day 20, the economic strain would likely be severe almost everywhere. Remote workers unable to log in, supply chains stalling, entire industries built on the assumption of constant connectivity grinding down. This wouldn't be a peaceful digital detox. It would be closer to a genuine crisis, uneven and unfair, hitting people who rely on gig work or online sales hardest, while barely touching people wealthy enough to already live disconnected lives. And yet, inside individual households, something oddly human might also be rebuilding itself. Neighbors talking, actually talking, because a borrowed cup of sugar can't be replaced by a delivery app anymore. Kids playing outside longer, not because parents suddenly became stricter, but because boredom without a screen eventually looks for somewhere else to go. None of this fixes the deeper economic damage happening in parallel. Both things would be true at once. The world would be worse off, structurally and quietly. Some individual relationships might be a little richer. So which one wins? Neither, cleanly. That's the uncomfortable answer research keeps pointing toward. Constant connection made you more anxious and more isolated in some ways, exactly as Turkle and Twenge's research suggests, while also making entire economies, hospitals, banks, and cities function in ways they now can't easily undo. You didn't choose to become this dependent, not all at once. It happened the same way it always does, one convenient update at a time, until the convenience became the entire foundation. Imagine you wake up on day 30, and the internet comes back. The relief wouldn't only be about groceries or getting paid again, though it would be about that too. It would also be the strange, specific relief of your thumb finally getting rewarded again for reaching into your pocket. And somewhere, quietly, you might already miss the 30 days you just survived, not because the world worked better without the internet, but because for a little while you got to find out what was still there underneath it.